How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a fantastic day. It is Saturday, September 21st. It's the feast. It's the feast day of St. Matthew the Apostle. So I'm supposed to be having Trendy on in a minute. Trendy's going to be getting here. I was going to wait for Trendy, but I've learned in the past that if I wait for people who are late, you guys blame the lateness on me. Okay? And I cannot have that happening. I can't have it happening at all. So, what are we doing here today? So today, I promised you guys that I would review the modern Boethius thread, the greatest Popesplaining thread of all time. It's over 70 tweets long, and there's two parts. So part one is over 70 tweets. The second part is a long paragraph. So yeah, I'm going to be going through all that. I have not read it yet. I promise you guys, this is going to be live reaction. I'm going to have Trendy here. Trendy's going to play he's going to play to my rad trad tendencies. I might go full rad trad mode and trad out on all of the audience, you know. It might happen. It might happen. So Trendy's going to bring all of that out of me. But I wanted to remind you guys actually of Patreon, because I've been doing a lot more things on Patreon recently. I just came out with two new posts. And these two posts, one of them is a translation from Bill of Art, the great Thomist, probably the greatest introduction to Thomistic theology ever written. You know, I'm translating through it, so that's on there. And also, I did a little article on consensus of the theologians and how that works. Now, all the articles that I write or translations I do are available to patrons $10 and up. But I'm allowed to do this little thing where I can put I can sell individual posts. So I just put the lowest price tag on my articles or whatever. So if you for some reason just hate memberships so much that you just want to buy individual posts, you can just do that. But anyways, yeah, become a patron. A lot more stuff coming up. I'll be eventually doing course videos on the Bill of Art text, which will be up as well. So lots of stuff going on. So Trendy is now here. How are you doing, Trendy?
I'm good, and I'm ready for a nice night of Popesplaining.
Yeah. Are you about to help me with some Popesplaining?
I might.
70 tweets is based. Riverrun's going to say this is based. Okay, who's
listen? I thought
okay.
that
whatever. You're fat plus r/Catholic dating on Talk to a when. Okay, funny. You're hilarious.
I was going through a bit of the thread, and I thought I wish I had written this thread instead, because I could have done a little better, I think. But yeah, we'll get into it.
Oh my dude, I hear that it's pure gems. I hear the whole thing is gemmy, and he actually perfectly understands what Pope Francis is saying. That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I guess technically, a membership, sub to the channel is the same as being a patron. What do you want? What do you want? Why are you putting my shoes right there? You knocked over my white monster can. Get out. Just get out. Out. Okay. Out. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So subbing, paid membership. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could post it for members if I wanted to. But yeah, it's usually just on my Patreon. Signature fragrance ? Water. Holy water. I have a holy water vial right here. It's holy water. I don't know why you need a signature fragrance. What is going on with my holy water? I think there's some dirt particles in there. Anyways, Trendy, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm just reading some of these comments, and Someone did Michael Lofton wrong in these comments, bro. Who was that?
What are they saying about
Oh,
Lofton?
so hopefully this one's not fat.
Bruh. Dude, Lofton is to Lofton's defend. I'll defend Lofton. Lofton's skinny maxing right now, dude. He's been hitting the gym. He's been talking about how he's doing some calisthenics, however the frick you pronounce it, you know. So, bro's getting in shape. I will defend Mr. Lofton. Are we permitted to pirate your articles from Patreon? Yeah, of course. Just ask somebody who's a patron, and look. I've said this before. I couldn't possibly care if you guys pirate my stuff. I'm just not gonna like go out of my way to. If you guys ask me like, "Hey, can you send me the article?" or "Hey, can you send me the video?" Like, I don't have money. Like, bro, put the work in. Like, do the work. Don't expect me to do the work and go and get the link and send it to you and everything like that. You get the work in. Find somebody who's a patron of mine, and then get the article. That's simple enough. Simple as that. I'm not gonna go out of my way to do it, but I literally couldn't possibly care less. Intellectual property doesn't exist. You know, you're not doing me wrong at all. Do it if you want. Yeah, you guys can actually have an underground. You guys could do, you know, somebody becomes a patron and then like undercuts the sale money and gives it for less money than I offer. Like they can start their own business. You know, if they have $8 a month patrons or something to get my $10 a month patron benefits, like go ahead. I don't freaking care. Do whatever you want. This is a free country, as they say. Okay, deodorant, shampoo, and toothpaste brands. I know my toothpaste doesn't have fluoride. I don't know about the other ones. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. You're gonna set up a Discord for that? Yeah, okay, I don't care. Don't care, go for it. Yeah, Anthony, if you could convince all of them to give me money. That's what you need to do. Oh man. Okay, so let me pull up the actual tweets now. Because he said that I'm going to end his whole career. That's what Modern Boethia said. He said that he's done. Can I have a free Patreon membership? I don't know if I can do that. Like I know that on my website I can give out I can make coupons and stuff like that. You know, I wish I could do that. I would just give people free Patreon memberships. If I felt like it. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm sure there's a way. I'm sure there's a way. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna end his whole career tonight. Modern Boethius is done. He's absolutely cooked. Okay. So here's the so this is the second thread right here. This is part 2.
Yeah, I didn't see part 2 yet.
Yeah, part 2 is kind of long, but this is part 1. So part 1 is very long, about 70 tweets. This response is part 1. I will later release a part 2 addressing the second of Francis' remarks and why Francis doesn't get. So this is only on the first remark. Which one's the first remark again? Did anybody remember?
That was the one in Singapore.
The one in Singapore where he said like
the languages and paths to God.
Did you get the COVID vax? No, I didn't. Will you go on the Talk to a podcast? Yes.
Okay. When you responded to me on X, I thought you were talking about the Talk to a podcast.
No. You think that I actually got invited? Dude, that would be insane if I actually get invited to the Talk to a podcast. I don't even what would I even talk about? What would I even say? Like it's just going there and be like, what do you do? So there's this guy and his name is St. Thomas Aquinas and he's really cool and I really like him. And then there's this other guy named Scotus. And he's kind of like my arch nemesis. And
it's like Nick is Aquinas and Sneeko is Scotus.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. I'll give that analogy. She might understand it. Yeah, maybe I should. Yeah, that'd be so base. Maybe I should get a hijab. I should like buy a hijab and bring it for her and say like um, in my religion, I can't be around women without that. And she'll be like, "Oh, that's so nice and cultural. Which religion are you?" And I'll say Catholicism. That'd be massive troll. Okay, so thoughts on Saint Catherine of Siena's ring. Also, why do orthos always tweak about stigmata? Is it only because it's post schism, or is it because of blood? Do you have any thoughts about this, Trendy?
The ring is
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I think it's important to remember that that's just a mystical vision. So you have to take that into account and think about what the actual mystical symbolism is there. And the stigmata, basically, that's like, oh, anything that's post schism is bad. So I, the best thing to remember is the objective holiness of the saints involved, and I think that's what's actually important, and that any kind of mystical phenomena is going to be flowing from that.
Oh yeah, you know what's crazy is I think this was Orthodox Kyle, but Orthodox Kyle was talking about how like Western saints have this hatred for the body and whatever, and they always mistreat their bodies, and it causes like the decay of their bodies and so on. He's like, that's like a Western post schism thing. It's like, dude, have you ever heard of the Stylites? Have you ever read anything about the Desert Fathers? Dude, it's crazy how completely ignorant a lot of these people are about the history of
some of the
churches.
stuff the Stylites would do is just nuts, or like some of the other Eastern Desert Fathers and monastics.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we've had saints who like pour molten lead on their skin and stuff like that. It's just nuts. Yeah, that's certain eras in the church there were definitely excesses, but this isn't like just a Western thing. That's ridiculous. This is a thing that just happens, with people. Okay, is that the last one? Bring Hassan on. Trendy Web.
Yes, my Sicilian brother.
You're not Sicilian, Trendy, are you?
I'm honorary because I'm Norman.
You're honorary because you're Norman?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Because the Normans ruled Sicily.
Okay, I guess that does kind of make sense. Is the whole milk Franco approved, Wagner? You're funny. I don't have whole milk tonight. I have water tonight. I freaking love water. Trendy Web. Okay, whatever. Popesplainers assemble. Okay, we're gonna get on topic. I promise we're gonna get on topic. Oh, I just really don't feel like reading all of this. Okay, this is at least gonna be better than. It's gonna be much better than the William Lane Craig debate, though. I just can't wait to finish all this like stupid Popesplaining stuff this week and all the Lofton stuff and get back to talking about normal stuff next week.
Yeah,
Christian, it sucks. Glad trad stream. We're gonna glad trad it up in here. Trust. Okay, so this is what he starts out.
Starts out with the fake quote.
Is it a fake quote? There are not one. Oh yeah, of course. There are not 100 Catholics in the United States who hate Pope Francis, but there are millions who hate what they wrongly perceive Pope Francis to be. Archbishop Fulton Sheen, paraphrased. That's real. This thread addresses the controversy surrounding Pope Francis's comments on should it when he has like the Francis like this, isn't it just supposed to be the apostrophe?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay. Let's ask Grok. No, I'm not asking Grok. Okay, it seeks to establish 2 points. One, Pope Francis's words. Okay, this is going to kill me this entire time if I don't figure out whether this is right. Okay, I'm asking ChatGPT because I don't know basic grammar. Okay, is this grammatically correct? Okay, we're asking ChatGPT. Oh, it is. Oh, wow. Some style guides recommend. Oh, okay. I get it. So either one actually works. Either one works. Okay. I asked ChatGPT and it said that different style guides teach different ones. That's crazy. How can we as a language have two different ways of spelling something like this? Like, why is that a thing? I have
This
no
is why
idea.
Latin is better.
So true, King. Latin definitely doesn't have multiple ways of spelling stuff. Many Catholics do not understand who Pope Francis truly is, a missionary. That's why they misinterpret him. The first point will constitute the bulk of this essay, while the second, wait, what's the first point again? Pope Francis' words are entirely good and even offer instructive teaching value. Okay, so that's the most part of it. The first point will constitute the bulk of this essay, while the second point is merely a theme interwoven throughout and will receive treatment at the very end. Okay, what's the second one? Is missionary. Yeah, okay. Now to continue below is the first excerpt from Pope Francis. Oh, he switches it. Okay, I'm killing my. Okay, I can't say that on
No!
screen. He switches. Okay, he switches. Why? Modern Boethius, why did you do this? Okay, Popesplainer's one. Popesplainer's one. Yeah, I can't say that on stream. To continue below is the first excerpt from Pope Francis' remarks that have generated a social media firestorm. We will address the second set of comments made in Albania in a later essay. To begin, let us first establish the context behind these remarks. Okay, you guys have all read it. I really don't feel like reading all of this. Okay, Pope Francis, after completing the trip, noted the following. I thank the Lord who allowed me to do as an elderly pope what I would have liked to do as a young Jesuit. I wanted to be a missionary. So true, Pope Francis. I love Pope Francis so much.
That's nice.
Modern Boethius is winning. He's winning. You're losing right now. From the outset, Pope Francis explicitly tells us that the very focus of his trip to Asia was about evangelization. In fact, it is very telling that Pope Francis spent most of his energy in countries with low Christian populations. Indonesia, in fact, is one of the largest non-Christian countries on earth. It is no secret that the Christian evangelization efforts have stalled in Asia. Yet Pope Francis has the solution: interreligious dialogue. Okay. Is that the solution?
Depends what you mean by dialogue, I guess. I don't.
As he reminds us in Evangelii Gaudium, evangelization and interreligious dialogue, far from being opposed, mutually support and nourish one another. Interreligious dialogue is the key. It is the answer to secularism. Okay, I'm not sure. We'll find it out. It is endorsed by the Holy Second Vatican Council. Yeah, get destroyed, trendy. And God the Holy Spirit. We will evangelize the world not by proselytization, but by our attractive witness. We will do this by fostering respect and dialogue amongst our brother human beings. Okay, I'm not sure how this is going to conclude, but we'll see. This we do with confidence, as we know, as Saint Augustine to you. As St. Augustine says, the truth is like a lion. It will fight for itself. We just need to set it free. When we dialogue with one another, we carry forward a twofold aim of truth, our Christian doctrine, and love, which is care and respect for our fellow human beings. From the above, it would be totally irrational to conclude that interreligious dialogue, as some in the heretical Lefebvist movement have tried to argue, undermines the superiority of Christianity is true. Dude, that's
Lefebvre
crazy.
the missionary, by the way.
Lefebvre the missionary. That's crazy. He literally just said the heretical Lefebvist movement. Have you heard anybody else call the Lefebvist heretical?
I've read quite a few things like from the Vatican, and they never called it heretical.
Yeah, like what would even be their heresy?
I don't know. I guess you could argue like, in Ecclesia Dei it says they have a false understanding of tradition, but
yeah, I'm still not okay, but I don't think that constitutes heresy. Anyways, I'm still not understanding where he's going for this about the relationship between interreligious dialogue and evangelization. But we'll see. Yeah,
he hasn't defined anything so
okay,
far.
So we should evangelize the world via proselytization. Antonius. Pope Francis has taught error. That's fake. Why so many pudgy Skittles priests in the Catholic? Crazy. Popesplainer's one. So true.
What?
From the above, okay, Lefebvre is heretical. Far from it, Pope Francis affirms that when one engages in interreligious dialogue as a Christian, we do not compromise on the truth at all. We remain steadfast. A facile syncretism would ultimately be a totalitarian gesture on the path of those who would ignore greater values of which they are not the masters. True openness involves remaining steadfast in one's deepest convictions, clear and joyful in one's own identity. What is not helpful is a diplomatic openness, which says yes to everything in order to avoid problems. But this would be a way of deceiving others, denying them the good which we have been given to share generously with others. So true. So true. So Pope Francis is evangelizing Asian countries by advocating for encouragement of interreligious dialogue, which seeks to plant the seeds of evangelism. This is the absolutely clear context for which we can now address what he actually said. That is, that religions are a path to God. What does that mean? Is it heretical? Here it is important to develop a distinction between the subjective point of view of the believer and the objective nature of the beliefs themselves. On the subjective level, it is undeniable that all religions are paths to God, because the individual, by definition, if he has a religion, is trying to seek God. His religion is his personal attempt to seek God. That is the simple truth which Pope Francis seeks to affirm. What do you think about that? You think that's what he thought to affirm? I don't know.
I think that's what he tried. I think that's what he believes, but
yeah,
I don't think that's what came out of his mouth.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't know because it's not entirely clear to me what he meant on any level.
Like that, yeah, that's a valid interpretation. But I also think that because a path takes you to an end, and if your end is God, then it's taking you to God.
Yeah. Okay, so because of this truth, we must treat the individual's religion with sensitivity and a certain kind of respect, because it is admirable for man to seek out God with his heart, especially those who have not yet heard the gospel and are trying their best. Okay, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think that would just fall under human respect.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel this when if I was dialoguing with I don't know, a Mormon or something, I don't think I would go out straight ahead and say that like Joseph Smith was a liar and a cheat and such. I mean, I would provide evidence for that fact, but I wouldn't state it in such a harsh way as to put them off from the conversation.
Yeah, I think sensitivity is one thing, but respect is a different thing, right? You want to be gentle, but also firm.
Okay, so the SSPX does stray into at least error in faith in their attacks on collegiality. They deny stuff taught in the manuals, the drafts of Vatican I and Lumen Gentium. Boom! Truth nuke. You people are too harsh. That's real.
I think the matter of collegiality is a very complex theological discussion. I don't think it's that simple. But
this is in no way whatsoever affirming the objective nature of all contents of a non-Christian religion. This is most obvious when once again we remember the context. Pope Francis speaking to those who do not yet know Christ, who do not yet know the gospel. He is not speaking to the Christian or you and me. The Buddhist in Singapore who does not know Christ is his audience. On the subjective plane, it is right to condemn efforts of proselytization that seek to belittle one's effort to reach God, that is, their current religion. What does he mean by belittle?
Yeah, that's not clear either.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of, especially in the way in which the apostles and fathers talk about like the pagan religion, that I don't know if that would be classed as like belittling, because there is very much in the early Christian apologists like a mocking tone sort of to the foolishness of like idolatry and things like that.
There's the famous example of Isaiah mocking Baal.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, we continue. I'm open-minded. Because Pope Francis even says there is only one God. So when you belittle someone's sincere efforts to seek out the one God and treat it with disrespect, you're really destroying the desire that God himself implanted in man to seek him out.
I think kind of silly because it's not as sincere. A sincere effort would not be polytheism.
Okay, well, I mean, there. So yeah, this is what makes it interesting with fundamental theology and the way that we think about um, like presenting the ways in which we present the motives of credibility to someone. Because if I'm talking to a Muslim, for example, and I present the motives of credibility to this Muslim, um, there is a moral obligation that he has um, to investigate these motives of credibility and seek out what God has truly revealed. Um, but it would also be credulous for him to on like light or no reasons. If you just like walked into a room with, let's say there was like a Muslim in the room over there, and you just walked in and said like, yeah, Islam's trash and wrong and Catholicism's true, and he abandoned from hearing, just simply hearing that, he's just like, yeah, Islam's wrong, Catholicism's true and cool. That would be something which would be credulous. That would actually be vicious. That wouldn't be virtuous. um because when it comes to seeking out the true religion, you have to do so in a way that prudently and cautiously seeks where God has spoken, you know.
Yeah, I think it's. I only say this because Pope Francis did not just address like Muslims; he also addressed Hindus who do believe in God, but they have a very wrong perception of God. Um, I don't know if you're aware of what Hindus believe, but
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does actually make a difference to whether difference with whether you're talking to obviously somebody who's an atheist or an agnostic versus somebody who is a polytheist or some sort of pagan versus somebody who like actually has a monotheistic religion. It does make a huge difference with the way in which you speak to them, because when you're presenting the true religion and you are presenting the motives of credibility to that individual, it's basically all predicated on the fact that, okay, well, we all agree that God exists. Okay, is there some sort of extraordinary divine revelation which he is speaking to us and to which he has bound us to? Like that's sort of the common ground that we're all attempting to work off of.
yeah, and that's
Um,
one of the things
yeah.
with dialogue is if we just say dialogue, what does that does that mean also presenting those motives of credibility, or is that just only a witness to our own personal sanctity?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So this gets I don't know. I think there's just a big poverty of language surrounding, okay, well, it's really weird to lump together basically everyone into into the room of religious dialogue and the way in which that functions. Okay, so can we please blame Ronner's take on the natural desire for the supernatural already? Are you talking about De Lubac? De Lubac just held the Augustinian view. His view wasn't heretical.
Well, it's not heretical, but he was he was chastised for it.
Yeah, but he at least he claimed that it wasn't his position and that he basically just held to the Augustinian one. So I mean, you could say that he changed his mind if you want to put it like that. But anyways, the position that he ended up with wasn't outside the bounds of orthodoxy. I just think it was wrong and not the position of St. Thomas.
Yeah, I would say that my personal opinion is that Humani Generis officially taught the Thomas position, but
Yo, truth nuke, truth nuke, truth nuke. Okay, why should we suppose that a flatly disrespectful way of addressing polytheists wouldn't be in any way helpful? That seems unlikely. Um, I do. Okay, I do think that sometimes, um, and this is more of like a rhetorical question, actually, with the way in which you understand your audience. Like, for example, if you have a group, let's say you're talking to like a sweet old grandma, and you're trying, I don't know, maybe she wants to learn, you've been reading about the virtues or something like that, and she just wants to learn about, the virtues, and she's asking you because she's interested, and she wants like some sort of practical advice and stuff like that on the virtues. I don't know why some old grandma's asking you, but she is. And you begin to like answer her in an overly like harsh or condemning way, or anything like that, like obviously like that would just be terrible. But if on the other hand, like you have a young man who's asking you, or maybe like a group of young men, you can actually have like a strong edge to what you're saying. It's like when I talk to you guys sometimes, and I'm like, okay, you guys need to stop acting like retards and stop doing this. I might say something like that to you. But if I said it to like a grandma, and I was like, hey, you need to stop acting like a retard and do this. Like obviously, there would be a problem with it. So I could actually see in some cases that there are semi-appropriate rhetorical forms of like mocking the myths of like the pagan gods, for example, which was very popular. I could see to certain audiences where this would be attractive. And what you have to understand, especially in that context, is that was something that was already very popular within that society. I mean, even pagan philosophers were mocking the stories of the gods as like blasphemous and as completely ridiculous and so on. Um, so yeah, I think it definitely depends. But I
We have also examples of in the history of the church, for example, destroying pagan idols prior to these things, to conversions. For example, the great Saint Boniface destroyed the tree which the pagans would worship, the Norse pagans. But then we have examples of like Saint Francis would wait until people were converted to destroy the shrines in Japan.
Oh, Modern Boethius is here. He just wants to chill in the chat, though. How's it going, Mr. Boethius?
So yeah, I think it's a prudence thing that's up to the particular.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because I mean, I see it among certain individuals where when they're engaging in evangelism to like it's extremely popular for trying to evangelize Muslims, is that they will just say like the most um like intentionally triggering things about Islam. It's like they'll go out there and say intentionally triggering things to get them riled up and get them angry and to get like the heat going. And it's fine in some cases, like to be a based irony Zoomer poster and use that sort of as a rhetorical move to criticize or to critique something or someone or something. But when it comes to religious matters, I do think that it definitely is.
Yeah,
it is something distinct.
It can make things worse. It can harden people's hearts depending on the case.
Yeah, because I mean, if we're because I basically think what Modern Boethius is trying to say here, and what Pope Francis, if Modern Boethius is agreeing with him, is basically that religion is a natural precept. Religion is not simply or merely a supernatural precept. So from nature, we know that God is, and that there are certain duties of justice that we have towards God, and this is called, the acts of religion, and we have to cultivate the virtue of religion. So when it comes to exercising this religion, there are very many particular forms which this is take through certain human corruptions throughout the entire history of the world, and people are carrying out this natural precept in a wrong way. So you have to be careful when you're criticizing or critiquing the way in which they're carrying out this precept, that you're not criticizing or critiquing the institution or at least the virtue that they are exercising. So like if for example, you told, let's say you went up to a Muslim, you told him like, okay, well, you're a Muslim, so you hate God, or something like that. Like that would be an example of like directly attacking the virtue or act in which they're trying to cultivate, rather than saying like, hey, that you have these obligations towards God, you think that you're properly carrying out these obligations in this way, but there's various different reasons why this isn't the right way. This way is actually the correct way. Here are the motives of credibility, and so on and so forth. yeah, do you kind of get what I'm saying on this, because it is a weird way in which we're articulating these things.
Yeah. And Rivers, I just want to say, River, I'm not saying that we're like the default is go in and just destroy things. I don't think that's the default, just that it can be advantageous.
I'm not sure what you're saying, River. Do you know what he's saying?
Well, I think what he's trying to say here is that Boniface followed the conversion. I'm not too aware of the actual, like, if there was a king that converted or something, but like obviously we don't want to go in and just by the sword force people. That's
does every disagreement with a position imply disrespect? No, of course not. This is why I wanted clarification from Honor Boethius what he meant by disrespect or like belittling, for example. Because exactly. If I talk to a Muslim and I'm like, hey, you obviously know that God is, I agree with that, and you obviously know that we have certain obligations to God, and there's a certain way that God wants us to worship Him. We understand things by nature, like prayer. That's an example of something by nature that we exercise towards God. So it's like it's a good thing to pray towards God, to give Him adoration, to ask Him for certain things, to thank Him for His gifts and benefits. Like we're all kind of like on the same page here. But like, is there something more that God wants from you? And they would say obviously that the Prophet Muhammad has communicated the will of God towards them and given them a certain way of carrying out that obligation of natural religion. And we would say, well, there's certain reasons why this particular way of exercising that intention that you have to worship God, that carrying out this way is somehow wrong. We can know this by these natural facts that we know. We can know this through these inconsistencies that your religion have, and so on and so forth. Whereas on the other hand, when it comes to the Catholic religion, this is actually the way in which God wills to be worshipped. And these are the reasons why we know that this is the way in which He wills to be worshipped. And that those are the motives of credibility, which support the fact that there actually is divine revelation. So yeah, there is definitely. I think I get what modern Boethius is saying here. Is he's talking about that impulse to carry out a natural virtue, and that in our efforts to oppose somebody's religion, we shouldn't suppose to oppose somebody's religion. That is the way in which they've chosen to exercise the virtue of religion. We shouldn't oppose in them the virtue of religion as such. This is why I don't really like the language of desire. I guess it's fine. I'd rather talk about it in terms of like exercising a virtue.
Well, you wouldn't mock the fact that a Muslim prays to five times to God a day. So, like
some
something
people
like
do.
that,
Yeah, some people are like,
you shouldn't do that.
Do it. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue down the thread. This leads to destruction, not evangelization. Rather, Pope Francis shows us the way. Let us encourage each other to seek out a path to God and dialogue about it. We will remain firm in our convictions with respect to our brother human beings. Okay, let us encourage each other to seek out a path to God and dialogue about it. I guess I don't see anything per se wrong with this tweet. Thus, Pope Francis gains mutual respect with them, and they will be open to him or other Christians. Christianity is Christianity. When I'm assuming he said when Christianity is discussed, every Christian should rejoice if a foreign people are more open to hear Christianity than they were before. I don't know. Do you think that practically speaking, because like speculatively, I would say okay, there's nothing wrong in discussing the idea of religion as such and the ways in which another person's religion are practiced or blah, blah, blah. Like there's nothing wrong about that, because since the precept to call people to conversion is not what's called a negative precept, but a positive precept, it only binds in times of necessity. It doesn't bind at every single moment. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of okay with
Yeah,
That
and I mean, of course, finding some kind of mutual um, commonality, even with respect to like, oh well, we both believe in one God, or we both.
Yeah, but I'm wondering how like practically, how practically when people go into a like a dialogue type situation, they're like, okay, you believe this, I believe this. That's like super cool. Like practically speaking, if this actually does
Yeah,
cause
that's the
people to be
thing.
more
Is
disposed towards it.
if you're a representative of a religion, that's different than like, oh, you and me are like on the street and we just become friends and we talk about this. There's very different occasions for talking about religion.
Yeah. But who is arguing that we should? Is anyone criticizing Pope Francis because he didn't mock them? I don't get it. Well, the reason they're criticizing Pope Francis is because they're stating that it seemed that in front of other people he was putting all religions on an equal plane, and seemed to be not exercising the precept to call other people to repentance and to faith in Jesus Christ. I mean, that's their critique. Is I'm representing what those people are saying. What's the point of this kind of evangelization? It seems to me it just leaves non-Catholic complacent there. There's no call to truth. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we were saying. Is like, okay, there's no issue with it. I guess I have. Like, have you ever read the letter of Saint Peter Faber on converting Lutherans? He says something similar to this, but his is kind of different. Basically, for him, and this is kind of, I guess, how I practically live my life with people around me who are not Catholics. You basically, you do have a relationship of dialogue with them in religion. Like, they know that you're Catholic. You talk about religious matters uh, sometimes or often, and eventually, like, you can lead the conversation to a certain way gently, or maybe you can, when they ask you, like when they approach you or ask you about it, you give them, you're always ready there then and there to make a statement about the truth. And that's kind of the most of the way that a lot of us go about our day-to-day life. Is that's how evangelism works for us. Is there's a knowledge that you're Catholic and you're offering certain uh, motives of credibility to them with the way in which grace transforms your life, and throughout that lived life with other individuals, eventually you're kind of worming your way into presenting to them the reasons for the Catholic faith. So I mean, I get it. I get it there. I just don't get it on the professional stage. Like, I don't really get why there's sort of religious leaders, doing this. It's not just, okay, this makes sense for a normal person, but religious leaders, like if I was trying to, convert another religious leader, I don't know why sitting around and
Yeah, like
talking about it.
if I'm the
Yeah.
Pope and I'm meeting with the Patriarch of Constantinople, it's like we kind of know what we're what we're
Yeah,
both meeting
exactly.
for.
I know it's like if I'm meeting with the Patriarch of Constantinople, I want to confront him, because I mean it's like, okay, well, we're both professionals here. It's like, sure, I'll concede about the elements of the Christian truth that is retained amongst the Oriental schismatics, sure, whatever, but it doesn't really make sense to do this on a professional stage. So
Well,
um,
in a year, if that whole Nicaea thing comes about, well, maybe Pope Francis will be totally vindicated, and modern botheists will be totally vindicated.
Dude, imagine the Nicaea 2025 happens and we make the Greeks start saying the Filioque. We do more. We go further than the Council of Trent. Question below. I'm too Jewish to pay the whole. Uh, how was Saint Boniface's action advantage? Not to be impious, but I can't see how it would have helped at all.
It demonstrated the
Oh, you cut out. What do you say?
it just demonstrates that the pagan idols were false gods.
Yeah, I think that's like a very remote example. Like, let's say the Muslims said that, like, there's this pen right here, and the Prophet Muhammad said that this pen can never hit the floor. And if it hits the floor, then Islam's incorrect. Obviously, the first thing you would do is just run over, grab the pen, and throw it on the floor. It's like,
yeah, or like
yeah.
let's say that I somehow got into, let's say something happened and Saudi Arabia's gone, and now missionaries can go to Mecca. Well, I go to the Kaaba and destroy it, and I say, let Muhammad show his wrath. I'll destroy the Kaaba, and nothing happens. Well, that demonstrates that, or it weakens the credibility of Islam in some way.
Wait, Singapore wasn't hostile to Christianity, so Modern Boethius was wrong about it?
It's pretty hostile to Christianity.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
They actively crack down on Catholics.
Okay. The popes tend to only display either tone-setting preamble stuff that is very elementary or didactic conversation of the faithful, not the intermediary evangelical stuff. Yeah, I mean, I guess. Okay, I really don't know how successful a lot of the sort of mass stuff is now. Like, Pope comes to the country and people see like newspaper headlines basically about the Pope coming to the country, and he said some nice things. That's like basically all that people know. So I mean, it kind of like, to me, is, and this sounds really weird, okay, but hear me out. Kind of sounds like to me the way in which you win a political election. You actually don't win a political election by going to the middle or going to the other side. You actually win a political election by like rallying up your own base and getting them out the vote. So it seems to me that really the people that are like constantly and carefully looking over what Pope Francis is saying are going to be the Catholic faithful of the country. So it seems to me that the sort of example setting is a more significant aspect of the whole endeavor than particularly like Pope Francis is going to come and he's going to convert all the Muslims because they know that he's in the country and that they saw a newspaper headline that he said something. I don't really get what the like strategic intention is behind it.
I think it's the problem with the kind of celebrity Pope. It's like, who's the audience here? When I'm going to a non-Catholic country, is the audience Catholics or is it non-Catholics? Or is it just the world in general?
Bruh. Okay, never mind. I saw something in the live chat. Okay, so let's continue. It should be remembered that Singapore historically had a government intolerant of Christianity, so Pope Francis' strategy is especially appropriate. Critics have loved pointing out the alleged confusion caused by his comments, but they have totally ignored the fact that all the newspapers in Singapore were in admiration of Pope Francis and that the actual Singaporeans liked his comments. I don't really
That doesn't really prove
that doesn't really
anything.
matter. Yeah. Such a result. I mean, like, there's a lot of like libtarded like gay people in America
totally
who love Pope Francis. I remember my wife had a friend in high school. And my wife wasn't Catholic back then, obviously, but like her friend was like, "Didn't the Pope say that being gay is okay? So like, can't I just be gay?"
Oh, dude, I remember when it was first
it was a female.
legalized,
Yeah, it was a female.
I remember everybody was like, "Whoa, Pope Francis is like cool." Whoa.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I don't think that really means that much. Such a result is totally amazing, and it's nearly criminal to attribute a successful evangelization result as something confusing and bad. The fact of the matter is, the evangelization effort in Singapore is better off now as a result of his comments.
It's only been like a week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, that might be true. I'm not discounting that. Like, I'm not saying that it's necessarily false, but there hasn't been any proof that, one, like, we can look at the situation and say, okay, this is dramatically improved, or two, look at the cause and somehow look at the proper effects of the cause and guess in an intelligent way how the effects will carry out. Yeah, so don't know. Now, to rebut the poorly reasoned argument swirling around social media that claim Francis' comments were bad or even heretical, I cannot rebut them all, but I want to rebut three popular arguments specifically. One, Pope Francis is implying that all religions are equal. 2, his analogy to language is confusing and bad. 3, the fact that people are confused must mean it is Francis's fault. First, simply nowhere does Pope Francis say that all religions are equal. All he did again is affirm that on the subjective level, mankind tries to reach God via religion. It's abundantly obvious, not least because the Pope is in fact Catholic, that Pope Francis not rejecting Christianity is true. His
Wouldn't we
audience
say there's a kind of relative equality there, though? Like in in the analogy, like there's a certain relative equality, not absolutely, but
so you're saying that in the analogy,
like if all religions are languages, there's a certain relative equality there between the different languages.
I don't know, because I could lean either way, honestly, on the comments, because it seems like if you were taking like modern Boethius' reading, and it's basically okay, he is basically just saying that there is this underlying natural virtue of religion, and each of these are attempted exercises of that in order to bring oneself towards God. Then, like, technically, as a thing, as a thing, like Christianity is one of those things, Islam is one of those things, Buddhism is one of those things. Like those are all the same. Like those are all the same type of thing. Okay, it would just be like in the same way as if I said, okay, well, Joe Biden is a president and Donald Trump is the president. Donald Trump's obviously the best president. Joe Biden's the worst president. Sleepy Joe is obviously the worst president. But it's not me saying, okay, I'm saying they're the same thing. I'm not saying that, they're necessarily of the same quality. So modern Boethius is kind of cooking here. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's not the worst. It's not the worst.
Yeah, you hear modern Boethius is cooking. Empirical missiology is necessary. How many measurably convert? Any other talk about helping the effort is fantasy and opinion. So true. We need, like in the old days, we're like, yeah, he came to town and 47,242 converted. Wagner, this William of Tocco book Moggs Chesterton promoted. Yes, Life of St. Thomas Aquinas by William of Tocco. So you guys should go get it. It's on Angelus Press. It's very good.
I know. Now I'm going to have to do Chesterton
by the life of St. Thomas. It's an overview of the life of St. Thomas, written by somebody who actually ran into St. Thomas, and he learned when he in like 1270 or 1269 for a year. It wasn't that long. William of Tocco actually did learn from him for a year, but he brought these documents together for the canonization of St. Thomas, and he wrote a narrative of his life, and it's really cool. And he actually went around and asked his family members, and there's a lot of really cool verified firsthand documentation about his life in there. So yeah, definitely go get it. Great book. Okay, yeah, and Chesterton is I don't like Chesterton at all. Chesterton,
I don't think it's true that he did it to justify that he was fat. I think he just did it because he was fat.
Chesterton was called a defender of the faith by Pius XI and future Pius XII. That's true. Fake. That's fake.
That's not fake.
It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. You deny the infallibility of canonizations. I don't want to hear about you.
I don't deny the infallibility of canonizations.
Do you not?
No.
Will you say St. John Paul II pray for us?
Yeah. St. John Paul II pray for us. Or pro nobis. Okay. He's in heaven. I'm not. I got to get there.
Okay. I was just
Boom. You got cooked.
Yeah, I got cooked. Okay. Fat Man biography of Thomas Garrett. Okay, we're
listen. He was a literary mind, not a philosopher.
He was a literary mind. He was, real. That means he was a sophist. I think that's what you're trying to say. He's the type of guy. He's the type of guy that Plato would explicitly call out. In the Republic. In the Republic, he would have got whipped. He's the type of guy that got whipped in the Republic. He was
fat, so he was the fat philosopher king. You just leisurely sitting around.
That's real. That's so real. Trendy W. Wagner's a loser. That's real. That is absolutely real. Okay. Anyways, let's continue. But yeah, Modern Boethius kind of cooking. Okay, he's kind of cooking right
Yeah,
now.
we gotta
I
let
could
him
see
cook.
it. Okay, all he did again is affirm that on the subjective level, mankind tries to reach God via religion. It's abundantly obvious, not least because the Pope is in fact Catholic, that Pope Francis is not rejecting Christianity is true. His audience, the Singaporeans, are not dumb, and they know that. Everyone knows it. But for those who need absolute proof, here is picture below of all of Pope Francis' statements about Christ being the only way. Okay. Well, I mean,
Basically, just we know that Pope Francis is a Catholic because he provides these quotes. These are good quotes, by the way. I read them.
yeah, I mean, to be a devil's advocate, um, let's say that perhaps one could argue that Pope Francis is being, interiorly contradictory with these statements. But I mean, I think if you asked Pope Francis, and this is something that I kept asking people. But when you're talking about something as a way of God, this way is interesting. I didn't think about it this way because for me, I was wondering, okay, when you talk about something being a way to God, are you talking about that being somehow a principle of knowing, or like at least a principle of directing of certain affections of the will? Or are you talking about a way of salvation and in true life? Because in the first way, I mean, we could technically talk about all of these as, ways to God. But in the second sense, obviously only the Catholic faith is a way to God. All the other ones are somehow false. So I mean that I guess that's the way to resolve it, at least in my mind, how I was thinking of it. But this actually he's actually kind of cooking right here. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I just think we should. I hope some bishop or cardinal does ask the Pope directly for a clarification because this happened before with the Abu Dhabi statement where Bishop Schneider asked him, what was your intention here? And he said, it was this, because if I had believed this, that would be heretical. So, obviously the Pope's not a heretic. He does believe the faith. He just says things that are either unclear or ambiguous. I don't think they are. I think modern Boethius is wrong that this is clear.
Yeah. Well, 3 quotes in how many years? Good grief. Yeah, let me just exhaustively get all of the quotes that he's ever.
Yeah,
Dude,
you could.
he
Find
says
way
it.
more
He
quotes
said
than that.
he literally says it all the time. I read his homilies pretty consistently. I mean, this guy, yeah, he's gay. He's gay. I'm deleting and banning him. Okay.
Though I do think you should get more contemporary quotes if you're gonna.
Yeah, Pope Francis is based again. Okay, he's the most based pope ever.
True.
Yeah, he's gotten me. To be honest, the amount of praise Chesterton is given doesn't help the case to almost everyone I hear besides Christian quotes and positive. This isn't true. There's a lot of people who don't like Chesterton. It's actually quite common, especially the leftist crowd because there's anti-Semitism. But we won't talk about that right now. We won't talk about that.
Or the capitalists that hate the distributist stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna live on the Shire, guys, and we're gonna wear tweed. We're gonna
That's
drink
so
our
based.
bourbon, and we're gonna smoke our pipes. We're gonna wear our monocles. And we're gonna get our tweed. We're gonna get our tweed
That's
together.
so based. Don't pretend it's not based.
It is a basic principle that when interpreting someone, you always take into account what they past said. What they said in the past, yeah, of course. Pope Francis made clear that Christianity alone is completely true, and therefore it's irrational. It is irrational. Is irrational. Okay, it is irrational to interpret his comments as conveying the meaning that all religions are equal. Second, far from being confusing, the analogy to language is actually quite apt. Again, we must remember the context. Each person's religion is their own attempted path to reach God. We should be respectful of that. In this sense, and I don't know what is meant by respectful. I don't really like that language, but yeah. In this sense, a comparison to languages is appropriate because generally speaking, languages that are something quite dear and personal to the individual. Like religion, if one attacks someone's native tongue, one is being highly offensive and will immediately alienate the other person. I don't. Okay, so this is where I kind of don't like it, because there's a difference between attacking like there's a difference between attacking one's impulse or desire or virtue or whatever, however you want to phrase it. I just call it the virtue of religion, like attacking the virtue of religion as such, like the desire to follow God as such, attacking that versus criticizing or critiquing the particular mode or manner in which they engage in worship. You know?
Yeah, I was thinking about that before we came on stream. It does seem that there's kind of a, at least on this thread, and I would have
Mm.
to go back to the Pope's comments. There's a bit of an equivocation.
Yeah, yeah. I don't particularly like that. I mean, I guess it's hard to draw the line. And this is like the helpful part of explaining certain aspects of what natural religion is, what natural virtue is. So it's like if you explain, let's say you're talking to a Muslim and you're talking to them about things like temperance, or you're talking to them about things like modesty or whatever. I mean, all of these different natural virtues that in some ways you could say that Islam is contradictory about this, but in some ways it is encouraged throughout their teachers and within their religion. And being able to, or praying 5 times a day, that's an exercise of natural virtue that they're engaging in, is prayer. Um, being able to distinguish that from the particular religious authority that has motivated that. It's the particular religious authority that has motivated that is somebody who is wrong, but due to the light of nature, you have at least figured out these types of things, and they're good things that you should be doing. But there's a actually correct divine legate who has come down and who you need to put your faith in order to receive supernatural life, in order to cleanse and heal you from the guilt that the sin of our first parents has put us in. It's the powers of nature that you're working through is not enough. So that's why the
And that's one of those things with the
yeah.
catechism is people were citing the catechism,
Mhm.
but it's like, though I don't think that's entirely applicable because the catechism is just talking about these other primitive revelations that were corrupted in false religions. At least that's
Yeah,
how I
yeah,
read it.
yeah. I mean, I think this is actually where the based even American evangelical, it's not a religion, it's a relationship. Yeah, that's actually based. And the way that they will usually describe that idea is, there's in what they would call a like religion, is that's about a sort of expression of human effort that is directed towards God in certain acts of natural. Well, basically, they don't know that they're talking about natural religion, but they are talking about natural religion. Versus when it comes to the Christianity, what makes unique, at least for them, is actually this is Christ in His person and work, who is coming and saving us from sin. And I mean that's actually like a fair analogy to make, is in the sort of evangelical context of explaining to people more particularly what sin and grace are, and
Yeah.
why their efforts of natural virtue are not enough.
Yeah, and I think it is a fair point that you don't want to be totally disrespectful of every aspect of a false religion because there are truths in there that are retained from our first parents.
Mhm.
Like that's clearly the case if you know anything about comparative religion.
Don't we hold that most or all major religions are true expressions of natural religion, therefore at least legitimately derivative a directive of at least the affections? Yeah, I don't think there's. It's hard to think of like an of like an anti-religion, um, who happens to get every little thing which they ever say in their religion wrong.
Well,
Because
I
I
don't
mean,
think that's really possible. I mean, even the atheist is tending towards some good. Um,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I would say yeah, sure. Yeah, that'd be correct. I don't know about true expressions of natural religion, but at least they truly derive from expressions of natural religion, because obviously they're corrupted in many different ways. And by legitimate, I'm assuming you mean that they, in some mode or manner, do direct the affections towards God, which would be yeah. If Chesterton lived in the Shire, maybe he would have been so sedentary. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's a good.
That's crazy. We gonna smoke tweed and wear cigars? That's real. 189 live viewers and only 61 likes. So true. Okay, now we're back to the. Okay, so like religion, if one attacks one's native tongue, one is being highly offensive and immediately alienate the other person. Again, the distinction that we talked about needs to be made. And like language, religion is inherently about communication with our creator God. And both religion and language are diverse only as a result of man's fall. Now, it's not that deep, bro. I'm sorry, Modern Boethius.
Yeah, I think the thing about calling it like a native tongue is a bad way of phrasing it, like entirely, because these religions are corruptions of what they were given. They're not like my native tongue, which is like some great patrimony.
Yeah. Because all major religions seem to try and direct the divine. I mean, that's kind of like of the notion of what it means for something to be a religion, you know? Like, you obviously don't have a religion which, like, doesn't direct one to God. Like, that just wouldn't be a religion. Then it would be something else. Isn't Buddhism more of a philosophy than a religion? Well, even philosophy directs one towards towards God in certain ways. Yeah, so I don't think that distinction's adequate.
I mean, Aristotle. That's Aristotle's whole project, is getting at the final goods. So that kind of philosophical atheistic notion of Buddhism is kind of a later development, and it's not really the original vision of Gautama. And actually he has some things which would indicate somewhat prophetic language. Go off. Yes, true. This is just all the Vatican II nonsense, guys. Bishop Williamson is correct. Go watch Bishop Williamson edits by Michael Sestak.
Did I miss anything?
Nope.
Okay. Just had to give myself a Capri Sun. These things are so based. So good. What?
I might have done a little bit of shilling for a certain bishop.
Is it Bishop Lefebvre or Bishop Houdal?
No, it's a certain bishop you had on.
Bishop Williamson. These Capri Suns are so good.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude, this is Augustine. He's going to be the next Augustine's last Capri Sun, and I'm destroying it right now. Can you believe it? Augustine will have no Capri Suns for school on Monday, and it's all because of me. Okay, anyways, let us continue. Yeah, 07. Bro thought, like, you stole my last Capri Sun. And I'm like, well, I bought the whole box of them, so I should at least get the last one. It's dad tax.
Phantom tax.
Yeah, real. Now, of course, not all analogies are perfect, and so it is entirely missing the point to demonstrate one way in which the analogy doesn't perfectly hold. That is, that there is one perfect language, while there is a perfect religion. Okay, I'm assuming he's supposed to say not. Pope Francis, he should have said there's degrees of dissimilitude in every analogy. That would have been base. Pope Francis never set out to make an exact comparison to begin with, so why are his critics treating it as such? If we use their same standard, no one could ever make an analogy. So real. and we have already demonstrated that it is irrational to interpret Francis implying religions are equal, given his past statements, the nature, and his nature as Pope.
I thought that was
So
funny.
likewise,
The nature as Pope, like he has a different nature.
his nature as Pope. Yeah, we need to do a little bit of work with modern Boethius with his technical terminology. We could do a little work with him. But if this is W. This is W. You guys are crying right now. So likewise, the interpretation of Francis' allusions to language. He's switching back to the other Okay, I'm gonna die. Look,
Yeah,
allusion to
a little
language
work on his
is
style.
implicating no religion is better than another, because no language is better than another, is flawed because the analogy clearly, by context, sought to explicate a different truth. It's so true. That truth is that both religion and language are attempts by man on a subjective level to communicate, and that both must be treated with delicacy and respect. Third, most people blame Francis via the following argument. Some lay Catholics are confused by Pope Francis' words, therefore Pope Francis caused the confusion, therefore it is Pope Francis' fault. But one can apply the same sort of flawed reasoning to the Bible. Okay. Is that the actual argument? Some lay Catholics are confused by Pope Francis' words, therefore Pope Francis caused the confusion.
Not really. It would be that Pope Francis, like, people are confused by ambiguity. Pope Francis is ambiguous. Therefore, Pope Francis causes confusion. That would really be the argument. And whether it's the Pope's fault or not, like, it could be. I don't know.
Yo, how's it going? How's it going, Gideon? Yeah, W Gideon. Dude, modern Boethius is actually kind of cooking right now. He's actually kind of cooking right now. He's destroying all of the even Trendy's getting even Trendy loves
Yeah, no, I have to admit it's not a bad thread.
Yeah, it's not a bad thread so far. I don't know. There's a few things that he could clarify. I should just take all of the modern Boethius glory and just steal everything that he just said here, but put it in like a little bit more technical terminology. That's what I should do. I should just steal from him. And then I should put it behind a $500 paywall. W Wagner. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, it's not really the argument. The argument is basically that this type of language, by its, I'll use a word that he used, by its very nature, or at least by convention, because that's how all language works. But by convention, this sort of language of talking about all religions as paths to God, that is something that's instantaneously going to give off a certain vibe of pluralism. You know, that's just the fact. So like whether
it would be prima facie, just like that's what you would just read it on the face of it. That's what it would come off as.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean that indicates at least some degree of negligence. Whether it's culpable or inculpable, obviously, I don't want to say, but there is a degree of negligence with using terminology like that. Like if you would have said like religion by its very nature is an attempt to seek God. So like we're all trying to seek God here. Like if you would have said something like that, we're all trying to seek God here. That's what religion is. So let's be nice here. We don't want to hurt each other's feelings. Or if he said something like that, okay, obviously most people would be getting what he's saying. But he just says all religions are paths to God. Let me use an analogy. They're like each different languages in which we speak to God. Like that. It understandably, most people are going to understand this in a pluralistic way. So I think this is where we're going to actually end up disagreeing with modern Boethius. Yeah, to be frank, the official Vatican translator understood in that way, Wagner. Well, yeah, I mean that's
undid that translation.
Actually. Did they end up undoing that translation?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a perfectly fair point. If I was a Muslim or Hindu and heard the Pope there, I would have gotten the wrong impression. Actually, I would think that I should stay Muslim or Hindu. Yeah, exactly. If the Pope said something like, you're a Muslim, you're just that's your path to God. We all have our paths to God, and we don't want to start out with saying, you're wrong, I'm right, and blah blah blah. Like that would seem like that would seem to most people to just be an indication, like, oh, like we all just worship the same God, bro. It's okay. It's that would seem to be what comes across to most individuals. So I definitely get the scandal caused and the type of negligence, again, whether culpable or inculpable, I don't know, that would be apparent in using that type of terminology. So I think this is going to end up being where we're going to disagree with modern Boethius. Yo, I'm looking at the analytics right now, and Christian just made negative $5 million. That's crazy. I got a girlfriend. Can you say congrats? She's listening. Fake sell, fake sell, fake sell, fake sell, fake sell, fake sell. Why would I congratulate you on entering into a relationship with a woman? That means that you're a fake sell. All of your money, all of your time, all of your energy, any sort of honor, dignity, and respect that you once had are all going to be sucked down into the drains of your past, and you will never recover it until the day you die. So have fun. Yeah, you guys are crying. You guys are crying right now. Anyways, yeah, but if you did go in front of a group of like Muslims or something like that and said, okay, well, you're a religious individual. I see that you're religious and that you truly care about what God wants and so on, and that you, in the expression of your religion in Islam, that is a way in which you're attempting to reach God, and like so on and so forth. That would be another thing. Like if you were in a group of people and individuals, it would kind of be understood that, I'm saying these things. They're still leaving room open for the fact that I am actually considering this still as of an issue that would need to be resolved,
Yeah, like someone was asking about like what would you say to Eastern religions, and I think it's just like, well, if I was speaking to someone, I would say, well, listen, there's this thing that your religion has that points to Christ. This notion of a lack of order in human nature and a need for redemption, and that points to Christ. That's what I would say, and I think that's what you should. I think that's the thing that's missing, is really that when the Pope said this, there was no but and etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely. Kayak is she white? Okay, thank you for the super chat. I converted. I don't know that it would have suggested staying Platonist, etc. to me. That I would have suggested staying Platonist to me. That it would have. Oh, you mean that if Pope Francis said that Platonism was a path to God, you don't think? I don't know. I would be interested in comparing in looking. I don't know how much, River, you've read of Saint Augustine's anti-Platonist works, but I remember reading some of his early works, and he does kind of speak in these terms as Platonism being a path to God and things like that, and that if you wanted to be a true Platonist and to exercise all of the goods that are found within Platonism, then if Plato was here today, he saw Christ, he would be a Platonist. So all of you guys should too, because
he talks about in the City of God, and he basically speaks of it as like the peak of natural philosophy, and thus of natural religion, he would also say. And basically, it's not sufficient, but it's basically they have the best arguments. They have the best of the pagans, the best outlook, etc.
Yeah, the weird thing though with something like Islam is there is like this underlying motive of a false religious authority that everything is attached to. So like all of the natural virtues and all of the good acts of religion that we can predicate of, like Muslims, for example, this is all going to be swept up with the fact that they have this false religious authority that all of these actions and things are being motivated by. So it becomes weird in that way, which is indicative when you're in these conversations, and basically somebody's like, oh, okay, well, but like Muhammad did this or Muhammad did that. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's true, and that was really bad. But when we're discussing with an individual Muslim, that's that's going to be something which might not be the best mode of action to
Yeah,
to look at like who they hold to be a revered religious figure and just
I
like
think that's
crap all
really
over them right to their face.
that's both it's kind of the double-edged sword with Islam, is it's like, well, these people are closer to the truth unless it's easier to talk to them, but it's also going to be more, in the end, it's going to be it's a bit blunt, but it's going to be worse for them than it was going to be for the pagans, because the pagans just didn't have that same amount of truth.
Yeah, I do get that. Yeah, it's really just like a lot of the practical apologetics questions are really weird, and people also get extremely like emotionally involved with the way in which other people evangelize. And there's certain people that actually do this very wrongly, especially on the internet, where it's just like, okay, well, the way in which I'm going to convert a Muslim is to tell them that, tell them about the old Aisha incident. And once I tell them about that, they're going to become Christian. Yeah. Rather than looking at what they hold dear as forms of like natural virtue, as expressions of religion that they hold dear, that are actually coming from true naturally good impulses, and saying like, hey, look at the Christian religion. The Christian religion has all of those things which you're looking at. It actually has it in better and more abundant ways, and with all of the conclusions kind of drawn forth from the premises that you have. So we actually have everything kind of together in a whole, and that's the strength of scholasticism. Is when you look at something like St. Thomas's Summa Contra Gentiles, when he gets into book 4, a lot of it is showing the sort of fittingness that the supernatural truths have with what is known naturally, even by the people that we're preaching to, which for his case would have been Muslims and Jews.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely important that I think there is a certain truth that modern Boethius bring out, and that's just that to say that other religions have no value whatsoever is wrong, because our own authors cite other religions in fundamental theology works like all the time. And this is one of those things that they bring out in apologetics and fundamental theology, is the commonality of the true religion and these false religions.
Yeah. Speaking of, what do you think of the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem being rebuilt in the year 363? We're talking about like under Julian the Apostate. Was it destroyed by a natural disaster, or was it an act of God? That's bro's like, it's the same picture. It's the same picture. Corporate wants to find you the difference between these two pictures: natural disaster and act of. It's literally the same thing, my friend. Yes, it was an act of confessional Lutheran here. You know what Luther did? Bro, I'm just messing. Okay, do you know what Luther did?
I actually think that in some cases that might be I think that might be advantageous in a certain extent with Luther, because he was a miserable man.
Yeah, do you ever heard the Devil's Bagpipe? You ever hear that?
Oh man,
about Luther,
dude, I was reading Grieser Hartman's book on Luther, and there's just some things in there that just were I mean, that man was just something. It's to the point where you question whether these people, like some of these enemies of the faith, are mentally ill or demon possessed.
Any stores that sell hijab with cat ears, thank you for the super chat.
Hijabs with cat ears.
Shift the conversation. You guys were like, oh, please don't talk about, please
No, don't talk about
bro,
Luther.
No. These people are just like, oh, shift the conversation. They're like, my dopamine. People are like, this is so boring. My dopamine receptors are fried. Can you put Subway Surfers on the left or maybe the Talk to a podcast?
Yeah, true. Guys, I need like 5 things on my phone at the same time.
Bro, stop talking about stuff. Meme Christian, please answer a question in 2 minutes and then answer another question so I can keep up interested. Please, I'm begging you. Literally just got an ad from an Islamic charity. Oh no, they're getting us. It's so over. Okay, anyways, this section, when a driver runs a red light and runs someone over base, he is the butt for.
I didn't get any of this. I did this main
cause of the accident, that is, but for the driver running a red light, the person would be uninjured. And the proximate cause, that is, it is fair to attribute the fault to him since his own negligent. But imagine a driver ran a green light and did nothing wrong, but someone negligently walked right in front of him such that he didn't have to. Okay, this is a crazy analogy. Here, the driver is still the but-for cause of the accident. But for the driver crossing the green light, the victim would not be. This is crazy. But assuredly is not the proximate cause. It's not fair to attribute blame to the driver when he did nothing wrong. Rather, it is the pedestrian's own negligence that is the fault and the proximate. What, the negligence of understanding conventional language? Okay. Modern Boethius, you were cooking. Now this is kind of crazy. This is kind of crazy. This is
if
kind of.
You were confused by the Pope, you're like someone that just purposely ran in front of a car.
Dude, if you're confused by the Pope, you literally just like ran out right into traffic and got ran over, guys. That's crazy. In other words, sometimes we can be factionally causes of bad events, but it's not our moral fault. It's usually someone else's. So he's talking about like remote and proximate occasions and like that sort of remote and proximate involvement and things like that, or like an incidental cause. Let us be clear. Something is not bad merely because a large group of people say it is. 5 to 6 billion people think the Bible is wrong. Okay, I'm not. What? Yeah, that's this. Okay, you're kind of losing me here, Modern Boethius. This doesn't make any sense. That does not mean it is wrong. The point to widespread condemnation of Francis' comments by isolated individuals is proof in itself of the comments' problematic nature, simply does not logically follow. No, we're actually pointing to the way in which it is understood by your average person. Aquinas is now St. Thomas!
True.
Why do these people call him Aquinas? I hate it.
It's the Matt Fradd effect.
The modern analytic guys, they all call him Aquinas. They don't call him St. Thomas.
Yeah, dude. I hate reading Ed Phaser because of this.
He's using Lofton analogies right now. That's crazy. Dude, why does he call him Aquinas? Okay. St. Thomas is now helpful when he writes, whatever is received according to the mode of the recipient. Summa Theologiae, Prima Pars, question 75, Article 5. Article 3, question 5. In other words, Pope Francis' comments are received according to how well disposed someone is to. No, that's not what that means. Okay, bro. This. I'm sorry. I like the first half, but this is terrible. This is terrible. That's not what that means. That's not what that means.
No, you don't get it. Pope Francis is like a sacrament.
That's so true. Yeah, you have to dispose matter to better receive the form. Have you received Pope Francis in your heart, guys? Have you become well disposed to receive Pope Francis into your hearts, guys? Yeah, that's not what that means. For those who sadly have built distrust and suspicion against Francis, it is no surprise at all that actually this comment reader, whatever is received according to the mode of the recipient. This actually is what proves the issue with using language like he did, and why that can be generally regarded as a cause of scandal. And we can point to negligence. Yeah, that's actually that principle is verified in that, not in the fact that somebody doesn't like Pope Francis, and therefore they're not going to understand him. Okay, so for those who sadly have built up years of distrust and suspicion against Francis, it is no surprise at all that they have received Pope Francis' comments with distrust and suspicion. Exclamation point. Here, though, Pope Francis can only be blamed if he actually said something bad or confusing. Okay, well, how's your average person going to receive what he said? I don't know. These seem just like assertions. But as we have demonstrated above, Pope Francis' comments are correct and even good. Okay, yes, in themselves, but not to your average individual. Okay, he's losing us now. They provide an effective example of evangelization to us. Singapore reacted favorably to Pope Francis' comments and now views Christianity more favorably. Again, I don't know if this is demonstrable. And even then, why are they receiving it favorably?
Yeah, you can receive something favorably for bad reasons.
If I went on the talk to a podcast and I told them all that you can actually fornicate, they would receive that favorably. So I don't know whether this is even relevant. You know. Okay. So obviously, but for Pope Francis making his comments, there would be no confusion. But it is not Pope Francis' fault that there is confusion, because what he said was perfectly fine. Okay, it doesn't matter whether what somebody says is perfectly fine. It matters how it's ordinarily going to be received, or how you can expect it to be received. It's like, this is the same principle with why it was really stupid that people were criticizing me for that thumbnail of Lofton. It's like for me,
obviously
I
a
can,
joke.
yeah, it's obviously a joke, and your average person is going to receive it as a joke. So basically, you have to calculate for what your average audience was. Now, if I was sending that out to like a group of boomers or something, or if I like did an actual video and the entire time I was seriously saying that Michael Lofton said this, Michael Lofton said that, there would be a case against me. There would be a case that I'm actually, causing confusion. I'm actually defaming somebody, so on. I'm lying about somebody in public, and so on and so forth. But if it's received obviously as a joke, it's received as a joke. This is pretty simple. Wait, what? If you went on the talk to a podcast and said Jewish people are epic, they would take that between neutral to favorably, not related but interesting. Look into the connection.
I mean, you could do the whole we're gonna nuance this with the
It's
Jewish
probably
people,
It's probably Lexi. It's probably Lexi posting right now.
Oh.
Religious hippies. The next guest will talk to it. Dude, could you imagine? That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Based red-pilled wife.
That would be crazy. Okay, so obviously, okay, blah, blah, blah. Rather, it must be the fault either of media misleading souls astray or the poor disposition of Catholics today when they hear the Pope's remarks. Couldn't it be the intrinsically the normal effect that your average person would get when they hear stuff like that? I would say I'm pretty well disposed towards the Pope. When I originally saw that, I had to think about it for a second because obviously that sounded, pretty bad. Girl in chat? There's no girl in chat. Is there a girl in chat?
He's talking about Lexi.
Oh, okay. Never mind. For an example of a holy disposition every Catholic should have when reading Francis, I would like to point out one online comment by Dr. Robert Fastigi. When I read documents from Pope Francis, why are you laughing?
Because dude, have you ever heard Fastigi talk? He gets super mad.
Dude, I need a Fastigi clip where he's like yelling.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was a good comment he made, though, I think.
No, I need Dr. Robert Fastigi, divorce in Orthodox Christianity. Why is that imagine that's the first thing that comes up when your name comes up. That's crazy. No, I need a clip of him just like going off on somebody.
I think you can there's one on Lofton's show where he's on there.
Yo, this is so based. Young adult. This is the first thing that comes up when you search Robert Fastigi. Young adult pizza and theology night with Dr. Robert Fastigi. I wish that was the first thing that came up when my name was looked up.
I actually do like Robert Fastigi. I think he's a cool guy.
Francisco Suarez, religious freedom and international law. You're about to get destroyed by this.
He's a good on Mariology, so I like him.
Okay, no salvation outside the church, Dr. Robert Fastigi. Maybe I need to listen to what he has to say. Bro, that's crazy. I've never heard of this one. Can Catholics disagree with church teaching with Dr. Robert Fastigi? And the channel page is called Smart Catholics. Dude, imagine that's your like the name of your that's a little bit pretentious. Smart Catholics, that's the name of your YouTube channel. That's oh no, they're all in on the trad recovery thing. Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
that's the
freaking
thing though.
over.
But he does have a Mariology podcast that he does that's really good. So I do like him. And he's not like above criticism because he does say like, oh, I think Vatican II was wrong to place the Mariology section in ecclesiology rather than as a separate
Yeah.
or under Christology. Like so he's not above like criticism. It's just that I think he's more like
Bro.
he's like Lofton but angry, pretty much.
Dude, the smart Catholics podcast goes crazy. Wow. This looks like such coal. This looks like an absolute coal mine. This is a huge coal mine.
Oh, dude.
We'll have to look at that. We'll have to look at that.
That's
in a
true.
minute
He
once we
did
get
edit. He edited Denzinger, and he did a new edition of Ott. And I haven't went through the Ott, but the Denzinger version is not.
the new edition of Ott. Why Ott isn't even like. I mean,
No, it's
kinda
not
just
really
like a
something
base.
you need a new edition of. It's not even.
Yeah, I don't know why these people don't just like write new like manuals of theology that define all of the like that basically update the magisterial proof sections, garner whatever new objections have been brought up, and then have Scolio on whatever new positions. Like it wouldn't be like incredibly like super duper duper hard to do. Like you would just have to like kind of like add in whatever's been going on. I invite Lofton to the stream now. These are rad trad. Like, if your wife ever starts typing on her own account, do I have permission to mute/ban? Yes, ban on site. A separate document on Mary was the original plan.
That's true.
That's
got
amazing.
scrapped.
Wait, what? The Haktua girl is 97.7 Ashkenazi Jewish? That's crazy. She doesn't look Jewish. Okay, let's continue. When I read documents from Pope Francis or any other pope, I read them as coming from the successor of St. Peter, who, as the Council of Florence teaches, is the true vicar of Christ, the head of the whole church, the father and teacher of all Christians, who has from our Lord Jesus Christ the full power of feeding, ruling, and governing the whole church, as it also contained in the acts of the ecumenical councils and the sacred canons. In other words, I read Pope Francis as a Catholic who respects the teaching office of the Roman Pontiff. In reading any papal document, my desire is not only to understand, but to learn. This is not popesplaining, sophistry, but with reverence and charity. The Church asks the faithful to manifest towards the shepherds, who by reason of their sacred office represent the person of Christ. Oh, I mean, okay, let's but this isn't even a magisterial document, so I don't how much
it's
do you
not
think
really
that,
relevant, but
yeah, I don't think that's really relevant at all. I don't, because he's not like, would you say that, for example, would you say that if you were reading like Pope Benedict XVI's like theology journal articles or something? So like I with reverence, and like you wouldn't say something that would be like super weird for you to say something like that about his journal articles or about his, theological monographs.
His book Jesus of Nazareth, there was some pretty hot controversy over that book because of some of his statements on Christology. So it's like obviously there can be the Pope, like every theologian says that the Pope is a private person, but as a private like theologian outside of any kind of magisterial context could be a heretic. So it's not outside the possibility. Not that I think that this is heresy, but
yeah, I mean it's that's what. Yeah, so I don't. Sorry, Modern Boethius, I don't think this is realistic at all. I've ascended to the point where I no longer have to click on early life. It's just a premonition at this point. That's real.
I have some.
That's real. That's Okay, let's
Some
continue.
people in
Modern
the chat are off the goop.
I've seen the people in the chat going crazy. I mean the Hawk. Okay, you're getting banned if you. Okay, I'm timing out for now. Anybody who says positive things like that. That's crazy. Sanborn did beat Fastigi in a debate. Well, did Sanborn and Fastigi debate?
Yeah, they did.
What?
The really long one.
Yo, that's crazy. I need to listen to this.
It's a good debate. I think Sanborn won Fastigi because Fastigi just said some like really weird things.
Yeah, this Smart Catholics is cold, but I don't care about it anymore. Okay, Sanborn. The Robert Fastigi Sanborn debate. Ecclesiology debate. Well, it's on Novus Ordo Watch. So it's regarding the teaching of the Second Vatican Council.
Yeah, it's on ecclesiology.
Oh wow. So okay, 2004. It took place in 2004. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to listen to that. There's a trailer for it? Yo, I want to watch the trailer. Okay. We're watching the trailer. I don't care. We're watching the trailer. Lexi, go get the monkey. I have the monkey right here, okay? Don't worry. Yo, this is crazy. Coming soon to a computer near you. This is so real. Bro! That's crazy. That was amazing.
Kina.
That was amazing.
You
I
know,
loved it so
Noah
much.
sort of watch follows me on X.
I think he follows me as well. Okay, how do you lose a debate to a man whose cathedral is a garage? Okay, that's kind of
Well,
funny.
it's a very big garage, you see.
Okay, bro, Sanborn got spanked. It was embarrassing, and he had to resort to emotional arguments. I don't know. Should I do the Robert Fastigi Sanborn debate review?
That would be really fun.
That would be really fun. Oh man, I literally
it's
have
like
not
3
listened to
hours.
Okay. Is it? Yeah. If it's 3 hours, I don't care enough to do all that. Maybe I'll watch it on 4 times speed while I drive to church tomorrow. Sanborn falls apart when you ask him how the church is still visible. Real.
Oh yeah, dude, it's just nuts. He's like, he pretty much says that they don't have formal apostolicity, the current hierarchy. So
Yes, yes, yes. Please do, please do. Okay, whatever. I've been wanting what I wanted to do. So for my member streams, for like the next 2 or 3 weeks, I actually want to go over Vatican Catholics justification documentary. Do you remember that?
I actually have not watched any of the anti-Protestant stuff.
Yeah, they have a documentary on justification, and I wanted to listen through it and see whether their arguments are good, because some of their stuff they do cook sometimes. Not gonna lie. Sede Council Susan made this on Windows 98 editor. Yeah, but she was real for that. She was real for that though. Forgot about that. Yeah, the garage or the trailer park. That's the dispute.
The Florida garage or the New York trailer park?
Wagner, any Hawk Tua updates? Has the show's producer reached out? Okay, I'll check my DMs. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, it's definitely not gonna happen. You guys are crazy if you think it's actually gonna happen. Okay, nothing on my DMs. Let me look at my business email. Okay. No, nothing. I'm just messing with you guys. Okay, let me look at spam. Yep, absolutely nothing. Okay. Transubstantiation refuted by one word. That's crazy. Somebody just sent me an article about how transubstantiation is wrong.
A real one word.
Okay, so how would that every Catholic approach Pope Francis' remarks as something to learn? How many people seek to learn from Francis rather than finding a way to condemn him? In essence, the modern online Catholic has a problem making snap judgments, a term used in a helpful YouTube video linked below by Apostolic Zoom. Okay. One can clearly see this within hours, nay, within minutes. Catholics were confidently declaring Pope Francis' words to be heretical. Would be rash judgment, but this doesn't have to do with him and his papal office, though. This has to do with him being a person, especially him being an authority of some sort. It should be rash judgment. There was no attempt to learn from him. There was no attempt to learn the context behind the words. There was no attempt to seek out a possible defense before an accusation. This is the textbook definition of rash behavior. I at least respect those like Trent Horn, who put up a critical video only several days after Francis' comments, but the broad phenomenon of instant condemnations shows the TikTokification of the modern brain. Nobody stops and thinks anymore. It's just knee-jerk reactions. Okay, it's not Pope Francis' fault. It's a masterpiece.
I think that's not really something that's a matter of the human heart, though.
Okay,
I don't think that's like
missionary church. Yeah, end thread. Okay,
I
so
don't think
that's
you can assign like bad. I think that would be more of an intellectual fault than anything else.
Mm. Yeah, I'm real for that. Okay, yeah, second half wasn't as great. First half was pretty good. Yeah, I'm still not convinced that one could go at it from the angle of like at least not conceding that this was some degree of causing of some sort of objective scandal. Again, not saying that this is Pope Francis culpable or whatever, blah blah blah. Said that a million times, but yeah. What are you doing if you get on Hawk Tua? I don't freaking know. Like what I would do whatever you guys tell me to do. Yeah, I would put out a poll on Twitter and you guys can just tell me what to do. Like, you want me to troll her? Do you want me to, what do you guys want me to do? If you actually were invited, would you go on? Yeah, I probably would. Okay. Part 2. Dear followers, I finished writing part 2, the final part of my response as a Popesplainer on Pope Francis' recent controversial remarks on religion. Actually, it was kind of funny because love my man Eric Ybarra, but he did just quote tweet Monter Boethius and didn't even respond to what he said, which I thought was kind of. I mean, at first I thought it was just like 70 tweets of cope as well, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. The problem of getting on Talk To is that it's edited. You need the troller like Sam Hyde did on iDubbbz. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I'm like, if I just go in and just troll the crap out of it, they would just edit all of that stuff out. If it's not live, then it's nothing. Ask her thoughts about the Filioque. True. Might do that. A part 2 of the Popesplainer response to the Pope Francis drama. I finished writing part 2. Got X Premium. In part 2, I would like to accomplish 2 things. One, address Pope Francis' second controversial set of remarks on on religion, that the diversity of religious identities is a gift from God. Okay, yeah, this was
bad.
Yeah, this one was pretty bad. And then 2, refute other popular objections. Of these, there are 2 main ones. If you have to write so much to explain Pope Francis, then he's confusing. Why doesn't Pope Francis clarify himself if he can? Yeah, I mean, this is just okay. Can we just get to the original point of
I think one thing to clarify again going into this one is that Pope Francis has before told bishops who've asked him about he does not believe that God positively wills these religions, but they're part of his permissive will. So I think I do think that this was just him. I don't know why he said, but I don't think he's personally unorthodox.
Yeah, I mean, but even if there's something about God's permissive will, which seems to be His intent, um, it's still phrasing in terms of God willing it.
Yeah,
Like that's just not a good way of
it's just
phrasing it.
really bad. I don't know why you would ever phrase it this way.
Yeah. Plans on video on supersessionism. I talked about it yesterday when you asked. Also talked to I talked about that as well. Trendy getting cooked in FC. What's FC?
That's a private chat I'm in with
Ah,
Hockey and AGAT.
okay, I see how it is. Would you go fresh and fit or whatever, or whatever? I literally don't know. Probably I would probably go on anywhere where they invited me. I don't know
Fart.
what they
Okay,
would even.
so
What would they
FC
even?
Fart Chat is the Anicath like control center. It's the nerve center of all of anime Twitter, pretty much. So like we're in charge, pretty much.
Never going fresh and fit. It's prostitutes. Didn't. Yeah, it's whatever. I'll just.
Ugh.
What if I went on there and I had like the like thick rimmed glasses that made me blind or something like that? I could do that. Just be like, yeah, I can't see any of the women. Imagine how epic that would be. I go there with like eye patches on or like a blindfold or something. Like, why do you have a blindfold? And I'm like, I don't want to see all the women. They're dressed badly. Like, could you imagine? I don't want to look at any of the women. I don't want to look at them. Please don't make me look at the women. I'm begging you. I'm begging you guys. Please don't make me look at the women. I don't want to look at them. Yeah, that would be the only reason. Christians are spat on in the Holy Land. Catholics are shot in Gaza when entering church. We are just spent the last hour amusing ourselves to death over some Popesplainer's tweet.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh no! Bad things are happening. You can't be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, no fun. You guys are not allowed to have fun. Anyways, okay. I mean, if you don't like the stream, then you don't have to watch. You can watch the other streams that you like.
Bro paid $10 to complain.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, but I appreciate the $10 super chat. Appreciate it very much. Okay, so let's dive right in. Below is an excerpt from Pope Francis' comments and question that generated a second layer of controversy. I invite you to learn together to discern the signs of the times, contemplate the difference of your traditions like a richness. A richness God wants to be. Unity is not uniformity, and the diversity of your culture and religious identities is a gift of God. Unity and diversity. Let mutual esteem grow among you, following the witness of your forefathers. At the outset, I want to briefly reiterate the most important theme in part one, that Pope Francis is a missionary. That means all his controversial comments must be seen actually in the lens of a pope who is trying to use interreligious dialogue per the Holy Second Vatican Council as the most effective means of evangelization in our postmodern world. We could question perhaps the truth of that. But in fact, precisely in this context, we must remember the first sentence Pope Francis spoke in the aforesaid excerpt. I invite you to learn together to discern the signs of the times. What is the sign of the times? Here, Pope Francis specifically referring to the fact that interreligious dialogue among people is how the Holy Spirit intends to accomplish the new evangelization in the face of the tide of postmodern secularism. But I mean, concretely speaking, I mean, is this true? Is this the way in which it's accomplished?
I don't even think that's what he actually meant. I think
Me
he's
neither.
just talking about I think the Pope's just talking about secular national unity, because the context is Albania, which is a country where you have different religions. I just think he's talking about like a natural national unity that's being had. And I mean, the church has always said we can, work with false religions in order to advance against even secularism. So, like, I don't, as long as there's no danger of indifferentism, which I think is the problem here, is that the language does lean towards that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Okay, so next we must note that Pope Francis said that it is the diversity of religious identities, not the okay.
This is
Okay. Not diversity of religions that is a gift from God. This is not a small distinction to make at all. Rather, this is okay. This is where we're gonna. You started out so promising. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is why people don't like Popesplaining. I'm sorry, modern Boethius. This is pretty bad. This is not a small distinction to make at all. Rather, this is very important given the distinction between the subjective plane of the believer trying to reach God, which effort will be his religious identity, and the objective nature of his belief, his religion. To clarify again, when I speak of the subjective plane, I refer to the viewpoint of the individual's efforts to seek and know God from his limited personal vantage point. This is in contradistinction to the objective plane, that is, whether the individual's belief or efforts are objectively perfect. We know that objectively non-Christian religions must be in partial error, but subjectively adherents to those religions may even be better people than devout Christians if they are striving to follow the natural law. This still through God's grace. Okay, you kind of messed up there, modern Boethius. You kind of messed up there. That was an oopsies. That was a big oopsies. Should we even address the nature grace thing and the effects of grace and the natural law? Should we even address that, or should we just keep going?
I don't know. That's kind of a wormhole.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Have I done like a different video on this or something?
I think you have.
Oh, watch my justification video. Yeah, just watch my justification video that I did on Distinguo.
There's a lot of authors who talk about who it would be better like to be a bad Catholic, because then you have this tie to the body of Christ. You have this.
Mm-hmm.
You still have, even though you have a dead faith, you do have faith.
Yeah, and also if a somebody not in a juridical union with a church receives extraordinary graces, it's not simply to follow the natural law. Like, that's not how they're saved.
Yeah,
they have the theological virtues, and it's only in virtue of those that they are justified.
Yeah, because it's not just a necessity of precept; it's a necessity of means, and the church is the means for.
Yeah.
So I think that's just read Monsignor Joseph Clifford Fitton's stuff on ecclesiology. I think he talks about this.
Yeah, that's good. So, Wagner, will you evangelize the Hawk Tua girl and bring her to the fullness of truth, strict observance Thomism, if you get invited in their podcast? Yes. The modern Boethius needs to read They Haven't Crowned Him. True. I actually read that book, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible.
He
loves
Bityo.
Yeah, I think it's actually a massive stretch to take religious identities in this way.
I also think
there's actually a long
into
I mean, but there's a long history of this usage of religious identities. Used, like, the popes have used this phrase for a long time, and it's never meant it in this sense. I skipped your super chat. What super chat? Wagner. Okay, yeah, funny. You're funny. Okay, so as an analogy, a sick person trying to find the best route to get to the hospital might be aware of two possible routes to get to the hospital the quickest. One takes 30 minutes, the other takes a whole hour. Yet the sick person is unaware, through no fault of their own, that there is a third additional shortcut. Oh no. It only takes 5 minutes to get to the hospital. Although objectively speaking, the 30-minute route is evil in the sense it's not the quickest. Oh no. Okay, this is actually really bad. The individual's choice to take the 30-minute route to the hospital might be good because the best possible option he knows in his circumstances. Okay.
What?
Yeah. Okay. Likewise, one's religious identity on the subjective level might be a good thing. The best faith effort of one in trying to find God. Even on the objective level, it is not the perfect identity that man was supposed to have before the fall. Yeah, this kind of just completely this kind of completely misses the distinction between natural religion and
Yeah,
supernatural
no.
religion. Yeah, this. Yeah, cut the stream. Cut the stream.
Dude,
Cut the
yeah.
stream. Cut the
It's
stream.
over.
It's
It's
over for
done
modern
for.
Boethius. Okay. I mean, I was vibing him with him for a while. But yeah, that's kind of he understands natural religion in a weird way and how that relates to the supernatural order. Yeah, it's sad. It's unfortunate. Okay, to reiterate, Pope Francis is primarily operating on the subjective plane here, hence why he uses the terminology of religious identity rather than simply the word religion itself. Yeah, this is just not something
There's
that's,
no proof of that.
yeah. You just look at past comments. I was looking into a few of those because I was interested and I was like, okay, how is religious identity? How is that the case? And, yeah. But some are not convinced and think that Pope Francis actually did mean to refer to the diversity of religions themselves on an objective level as being a gift from God. I would now like to recall a hermeneutical principle outlined in part one, that it is more rational to interpret somebody's current statements in light of his relevant past statements rather than assume past statements have no effect in the task of interpretation. Here, it will be good to actually recall Pope Francis' remarkably similar statements on religious pluralism in a 2019 general audience. Why does God allow so many religions? God wanted to allow this. Scholastic theologians used to refer to God's voluntas permissiva. He wanted to allow this reality. That's permissive will. He wanted to allow this reality. There are many religions. Some are born from culture, but they always look to heaven. They look to God. But what God wants is fraternity among us, and in a special way. We must not fear differences. God allowed this. Okay, yeah, I guess that's correct. But again, this kind of just undermines his point, doesn't it, Trendy?
Yeah, I think this is just referring to natural fraternity that we would have as human beings,
Well,
not as
no,
a.
he literally says, "Why does God allow many
Yeah, exactly.
religions?"
He does. So I don't like. I just don't. I mean, it's true that the way that the Pope has phrased this is a bit odd, but it's not wrong. And so I don't really understand what Boethus' point here is because like I don't know. I just kind of lost it with.
Well,
I
he's
just
so
lost
his
it.
whole point is that actually he's talking about. Can you guys even see me highlight the words on the screen? You probably can't even see me highlight. I've been highlighting them the whole time. But right here it says, "Why does God allow so many religions?" But his whole point in the first half is he's actually talking about religious identities, and that's different from religion. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So okay, let's see how he quotes this.
yeah. I'm
So it
sorry.
seems
I'm a
quite
little
apparent.
tired, so I'm a little.
Well, I think it's just that this is confusing. So it seems quite apparent in this context that Pope Francis is still referencing the diversity of religions, note not necessarily religious identities, as a product of God's permissive will. But somehow this object of God's permissive will could somewhat bring about a gift, the diversity of religious identities. Oh my goodness. This is crazy reading into it. In this case, we can make the sense of Francis' comments by resorting to scripture itself. You mean the evil against me, but God meant it for good. In this sense, we are challenged by the Holy Father to consider this as a richness meant for our own good, even if it is the result of evil. For example, as he indicates, through difference in religious identities, we might actually have unity. That is, the differences will generate sincere interreligious dialogue that spurs us to think more critically together about our quest for God. It is also extremely easy to be friends with each other when we share the same religious identity, but it's challenging yet rewarding to be friends with somebody of a different religion. What is he talking about? Rather
He's
than
just saying.
despair, we will, with the help of God's grace, take the evil head on and repay the evil with good, cultivating the virtue of charity in the face of differences. Unity and diversity, as Francis says, this method of interreligious dialogue is especially the way modern man will defeat the danger of secularism, which seek to point out religious differences as a reason for nihilism rather than a reason for unity. Yeah, I don't. Despite the practicalities of this method, I'm not sure what he's getting at here at all.
Yeah,
and how this relates to
the
his
only
original
thing I can
statement.
see is that, well, like, I don't see how the differences would bring a, like, this is, I don't see how that's a, like, differences by their nature are disuniting, like, in some sense. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so
exactly.
we have to speak of this unity in a different way, and it's not in religion; it's in just as being humans. So I don't really see how what the Holy Father said is really relevant to what Boethius is saying.
Yeah, I'm not sure at all. To recap, okay, so this might be good. To recap, both in linguistic terms and exegetical terms, the argument of the critics fails. Okay. On a linguistic level, the diversity of religious identities referenced is not exactly the same thing as the diversity of religions. Okay, you didn't prove that. On an exegetical level, one must interpret Francis in light of his past comments, which were on religion, which clearly reinforce the idea that different religions are allowed only via the permissive will of God. Pope Francis, in his comments, simply adds quite a noble and challenging idea that God can use different religious identities as actually a gift to humanity to bring about good, greater unity and charity among people. But yeah, but
In a
likeness is
very,
the
very attenuated
likeness.
sense.
Yeah, I don't really get this because likeness is the foundation for charity and also for unity. Um, one need look no simply at the cross as an example par excellence of this idea. Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I guess he's appealing to the idea that God brings good out of evil, but
Okay.
it's just a weird appeal.
I'm too tired. I'm not reading all this.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's
this is the last. Wait. This is the last one. Okay. Okay, we'll read it then. And I'm speed running this. Now I've demonstrated why France's comments on religious diversity are perfectly good and even profound. My second aim of this essay is to rebut many particular popular objections, of which I would like to address two I didn't reach in the first part. The first is simple as it is simple as it. Oh, okay, dude, can you proofread before you post? The first is as simple as it is flawed. If you have to spend this long trying to clarify Pope Francis' comments, this means that Pope Francis was confusing. Okay, yeah. To this, I respond by pointing out a most extreme double standards. You mean to tell me that the critics of Pope Francis spent countless hours over the span of literally a decade to, okay, whatever. I'm just going to.
that's my
Secondly,
exact.
addressing the more important objection, why doesn't Pope Francis clarify himself? This is perhaps the mystery of Pope Francis. Bro, bro.
What? What? Look at the next sentence.
I will suggest that by refusing to clarify, Pope Francis ironically brings clarity. Oh my goodness. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry, modern Boethius. I tried. I really tried. We're done. We're done. We're done. I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm too tired. I'm too tired for this. I have mass in the morning, bro. I got kids to get ready for mass. I can't do this. I got a TV show to right before bed. I might even go out and get a beer after this. That was crazy. Because it's like you draw somebody up so high in like that first half where like he's cooking. This is so
Yeah.
this is so great. We're Popesplainers again. And he just like drops us to smash us onto the concrete.
Oh
That
man.
was that was that was
Yeah.
crazy.
It's like
That was
he was
crazy.
cooking. He was cooking. It smelled good, and then you look at it when he's done, and then you
Keep
like,
reading. Oh my god. I already took I keep reading. I will read one more sentence per super chat. One sentence per super chat. No. Okay, two super chats now, so two sentences. Okay. I will. Where the frick is this? Okay, there it is. Okay, that was crazy. So how many? Okay, so I have two super chats, two sentences. Okay, keep reading. Relax with some r/Catholic dating. So one sentence. That is Pope Francis is making transparent a real spiritual problem among the church today. That is a schismatic tendency to critique and mock church leadership while holding oneself as the infallible interpreter of the deposit of faith. Okay, we're good. We're done now. We're done now. Okay, so he's refusing to clarify, and in his not clarifying, this is actually
It's
all
4D
about,
chess.
it's 4D chess. It's actually trying to reveal that we're all schismatics. Okay. Okay. It's like a beautiful looking rack of baby back ribs in a perfect glaze, but you bite it and it's dry with the silver skin still on. That's so real. I can't find an English PDF for Cursus Theologicus.
Oh, bruh.
Learn Latin. Oh my! How hard is it for you guys? There's literally there's a billion books on the internet. You guys can just go on the internet.
I don't know Latin, but I hear ChatGPT is pretty good.
Shut up! Stop plugging all these scholastic works into ChatGPT.
Mogged. You're just mad that you got mogged and wasted years on Latin.
Dude, this. I hate this. I hate this so much. Actually, guys, you could just plug it all into ChatGPT. That's fake. That's
I hope that ChatGPT messes up the ins and essay just because he said that.
So true. Read another sentence. Oh my gosh. How many online Catholics today speak about the successors of the apostles with contempt and ridicule? What do you think about that? A lot of them do.
For me.
Oh, how many online Catholics today speak about the successors of the apostles with contempt and ridicule? That's from Boethius.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Anyways, yeah, I've been mogged. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to nights. I'm sleepy pilled and I'm going to bed.
True.
So thank you, Trendy. This was fun.
Yep.
We're completely Popesplained. I think I
he almost made
Modern
Boethius. If you're still there, you almost made me a Popesplainer, but you dropped the ball.
Dude, bro fumbled. You fumbled so hard. You almost had Trendy, the arch defender of the Archbishop. You almost had him Popesplaining for you. You almost had him on Team Popesplainer, and you fumbled it in the fourth quarter. That's crazy. Anyways, goodbye, people. I'm leaving. I'm too sleepy to continue. Okay, goodbye. Good night. Go to Mass tomorrow, and as always, God bless.